Welcome to Reddit Aliens. If you've ever experienced anything paranormal or out of this world, what was it? Part 2. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Heard someone knocking from the other side of the door in a room in our house. Have a video recording of it too. It's weird. No pipes or anything around there. Never happened again either. Also saw a wee boy with blonde hair run past my office window in August 2019 and then August 2020. Not 2021 though. The second time I tracked him with my eyes for a few seconds and ran outside to find nothing. I don't really believe in ghosts, but these were really interesting. My sister-in-law was brutally murdered by several men. Over a year later, after all the trials, I was alone in my in-laws' house, waiting to meet my wife getting home from work. I was sitting on the couch watching TV, my right arm draped on the back of the couch. Suddenly, quietly, I heard my name whispered in my ear. It was my sister-in-law's voice. It was clear as a bell. For a few moments, I sat looking to the right where she would have been sitting in order to whisper in my ear. Then I got up, turned off the TV, and waited for my wife on the front porch. 1975-ish. I was living with my great-grandmother and grandmother. My grandma was just a big kid and my BFF. We shared a room in their home. One night, we were awakened by my great-grandmother talking in her sleep. We decided to sneak to her room and listen. As we stepped quietly in her room, she bolted upright and yelled at us, "You made him leave!" She was angry, very out of character for her. And here's the paranormal part. There was a butt print on top of the covers, like when you sit on the edge of the bed. She remembered it the next day and was still mad. Mine isn't creepy or anything. I was in France and had been heavily drinking. I was so drunk I fell asleep on the tram home, and my stop is second to last on the route. When my stop came, I was still asleep, and I felt very clearly a hand grab my jacket from the back and pick me up off my feet. As soon as my feet hit the ground, I woke up and felt stone cold sober. I looked around and there was no one in the tram from end to end. I stepped off the tram to see if maybe it had been someone who walked off the tram during my momentary confusion. There was no one. When I came home, my stepdad asked me if his buddy had helped me home. I was confused, and he said his buddy was dead, but he could still talk to him and told him to go check on me. He said all of this to me before I had a chance to tell him. It wasn't exactly me that experienced this. When I was younger, I had a cousin that got kidnapped and killed when she was 7. My aunt, my dad's sister, and uncle lived close to us, but ended up moving to a different town because it was too hard to stay in the house after their daughter died. My dad is a carpet cleaner and happened to be hired by the new people that moved into my aunt and uncle's old house. They were telling him how stuff moved in the house, and at night they could hear footsteps up and down the hall and a little girl giggling. My dad was so creeped out, he left as soon as he could. My mom and I heard a woman's voice call out my name. 2. My friend and I saw a shadow person while running outside. We turned around mid-run and saw this massive shadow man with no face or any details. Looked like a 7-foot dude in a black morph suit coming right at us. Number 2. Different friend and I heard something growl at me from a room in my home. Didn't think he heard it until I turned around and he asked if I heard it. 4, these numbers aren't great, heard another growl while with a friend's dog, and the dog was barking at something. Back in high school, I have always been an insomniac. One night, though, I couldn't sleep. There was this strange light shining in my room. I couldn't figure out where the hell it was coming from. I stood in my bed and put my hand up to see if it blocked the light. It was just a white circle, and it didn't. I laid in bed, and I was creeped out because I literally heard little kids giggling outside at 3 a.m. I was creeped the F out. I stayed up, and my grandpa would go to work very early, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., open our fence, close it, and go to work. I watched him from my window as he left, and after he left, I was finally able to go to sleep. He had a heart attack at work that day and passed away. I don't know if this is paranormal, but I have no other explanation. I used to live in a small studio apartment. I had just gotten home and was about to change, wash up, and go back out to meet some friends. I was a bit hungry, so I put some bread in the toaster, and while it cooked, I went into the bathroom to wash my face, etc. While in the bathroom, I heard the toaster pop. Finished cleaning myself up and went to get the toast, only it was nowhere to be found. Toaster was still hot, but the toast was literally nowhere to be found. I have no idea where it could have gone. This was probably 15 years ago, and I still think about it a lot, lol. I took care of my mom at the end of her life, which was about a 2-year process from dementia-related illness. Obviously, it was heartbreaking. After her passing a month or so later, my son and I were at Olive Garden and were seated with my back turned to the other guests passing by. During our meal, a woman began pushed in a wheelchair, hit my chair so hard I was startled. I turned around and I swear to everyone I was looking eye to eye with my mom. The lady did not say anything. My son and I were so confused that we sat there with our mouths hanging open. My mom had passed away on my son's birthday just a month before. There was absolutely no reason this wheelchair should be close to my chair. When we were leaving, I went up to the 2 ladies with the wheelchair lady to look closer, and I felt the same. She still did not say anything. I took it that God knew I needed to know she was okay. My mom loved Olive Garden and would wrap the breadsticks and put them in her purse. Long story short, back in 2006, my mother had a dream late one night where this dark, menacing voice spoke from the shadows saying, "Rick, I know what you did, Rick. I'll get you." Forward 9 years later, our upstairs neighbor Rick has a motorcycle accident killing him. Turns out he had a bad brake causing him to slide into the intersection, hitting a car and killing him. After spending some time with his son, he tells me the story he's heard on why they left Puerto Rico. Supposedly, Rick had set his brother up in their gang and got him killed. Left Puerto Rico and came to America to avoid the heat. Looks like his brother may have had a little bit of revenge from beyond the grave. In the home I lived in from when I was about 13 to 18, there would be an apparition of a child. It was always shadow-like, and you couldn't make out details other than it being about 4 feet tall with piercing white eyes. The spirit would loom over me when I would try to type or sleep, just watching me, never moving, or it would be in the corner of the room, watching me from there. It would also watch me in the bathroom through the mirror. It was mainly in the bedroom and bathroom, but sometimes it would spawn downstairs in the living room or kitchen. It would like running around, back and forth between these rooms, not so much standing around like it would in the upstairs bedroom or bathroom. This went on almost daily for the years I lived in that house with my family. I didn't tell them about it since I had severe depression at the time, and I didn't want them to think of me any worse than they already did. When I was 18 to 19, we moved out of that house. As we were moving, I playfully said to my mom how the new place will be better, since I got weird vibes from that house. She asked what I meant, and I said that the house was probably haunted. Her eyes got wide, and she pulled me aside and said that she, my sister, and my dad have also seen a ghost in the house. She described the same apparition that I saw. And the thing is, we never spoke about it to each other. It was so unsettling to hear her, my dad, and my sister describe the ghost all with the same description and actions. Not my story, but my mom's. My grandfather was a very kind and gentle man. When he got Alzheimer's, it was devastating. He lived abroad with my grandmother, and so she could help out more. My mom brought them back to our country. Unfortunately, the hospital she admitted him to wasn't run well, and he got extremely sick very quickly. He turned into a walking skeleton. She blamed herself for his decline and health. It's important to mention she hadn't had dreams. She could remember since she was a child. She's atheist and doesn't believe in ghosts. A week after his death, she had a vivid dream. She said everything was warm and smelled like vanilla. She saw her father stood in front of her, bathed in light. He didn't say anything, he just smiled. When she woke up, she said she could still smell vanilla. She says she thinks he was telling her he was okay, and it wasn't her fault. When I was around 11 years old, I woke up in the middle of the night because the dogs in the neighborhood were barking and howling like crazy. I got up to look out my bedroom window, and I saw cows. There were at least 50 of them, all spread out over the field next to our house and on the main and side road, just lazily walking around. So I go get my mom, who had fallen asleep in our room, to come look. In the short time it took me to get my mom to look out the window, the cows were gone. And you could hear how the dogs on the main street had stopped howling and the ones on the side street started up. Now, the area where we lived wasn't heavily populated at the time, and there were a number of people that had cows, but not that many. And these were different. They were really big and brown with humps on their back. According to my mom, they weren't any cows like that where we lived, and the side street was very narrow, so even if they did suddenly run, you would still see some going down the street. Paranormal for 11-year-old me, but maybe someone's cows just escaped. My whole family has weird stories. My cousin used to see shadow people walking around their house. My grandpa also saw and heard weird shit when he was in the military and had to do night shifts. Worked in a store in the UK that was haunted. Lots of weird shit happened. For example, we would come in for a morning and find entire wall displays removed from high up on the wall and recreated in the middle of the shop floor. I came in one day and found all the display shoes off the wall and lined up on the floor heel to toe, with the laces neatly tied. I actually closed that section the night before, so knew very well it was not like that when I left. Only two explanations. Either somebody with a key and who knew the alarm code was effing around with everybody and had been for years, or it really was haunted. Also, our youngest son kept saying he saw a black cat in the closet of the playroom at home. We had cats, but there was never one in that closet. We joked it was a ghost cat. Then, one of our cats got very ill and passed away in that very closet. He was mainly black. After that, our son never saw the ghost cat again. Years ago, I remember going to my parents' house. I start to put the key in the door, and I hear clear as day my dad say, "I'll get the door." So I wait, and no one opens the door. I think this is weird and go ahead and open the door. All the lights are off, and no one is home. As I walk through the garage door, my dad opens it and comes inside. I ask him why he said he'd open the door and didn't, and he had no idea what I was talking about. He had just got home from work. I work at a hotel that is haunted. The story behind this place is interesting, at least to me. The lot that the hotel sits on used to be the location of an old city hospital. Sometime in the 70s, the hospital building was torn down and a nursing home was built in its place. From what I've been told, the nursing home was built in two phases. First was the actual nursing home, which is 3 to 4 stories tall, and then there was a 10-story building that was built later that is connected to the nursing that was used as the assisted living. The assisted living portion vacated the building sometime in the 2000s. The hotel took over the tower portion in 2013 or 14, where the nursing home stayed next door until Hurricane Florence damaged both the buildings in 2018. The hotel was able to reopen in 2020 after some extensive repairs, where the nursing home part of the building has remained abandoned to this day. If you peek into the entryway next to where the laundry room is, you can actually see what one of the halls looks like, and it has that abandoned building look to it. Given the history of not only the building that are currently here, as well as the fact that the lot used to be where the hospital was, there has definitely been a lot of death here from all sorts of people from all different walks of life. I have seen and heard some interesting things during my shifts, especially during my night audit shifts. Things that I have seen and heard have been the paper towel dispenser in the kitchen goes off at random times when no one is in the kitchen, the door to the stairwell will open and close, and I don't see anyone come around the corner afterwards. My favorite happened the weekend before last. I was sitting at a table next to the front desk eating lunch when I saw what I thought was my friend and coworker come up to me, my backside on the front desk out of the corner of my eye. For context, the front desk is in the middle of the lobby and is in the shape of a square. When I turned to say hi to him, no one was in the lobby with me, and I mean no one. And this isn't the first time I have seen what I thought was a person walk by out of the corner of my eye either. My best friend that works with me, who is sensitive to the paranormal, finally admitted the fact that the place is haunted. I knew since I started working there in May that it was, but it has taken me some time to really experience what this building has to offer. When I was about 15, my friends and I decided to play with a Ouija board that a neighbor had. It was a full moon that night, so we played it out on the sidewalk to be under the moonlight. My mom died when I was 2 years old, and I never really talked about her with my friends. They just knew my mom was dead. There was about 5 of us playing, and one of my friends asked the board, "How old was R when Mom died?" Then almost immediately, the little board piece moved right to the number 2. We then asked if my mom was answering, and it went to yes. I had to stop because I got too freaked out. Could have totally been a coincidence, but no one I was playing with knew that fact about me. It still bugs me to this day that I maybe had a chance to ask more questions.